If you've published a book on Amazon, but it's not selling, chances are you probably don't know why. You may have done the research, designed the cover, built the listing, thought you nailed it, but something is off and you don't quite know what it is. Today I'm critiquing 3 real book listings from our LCPA community. I'm going to look at covers, titles, descriptions, A+ content, the whole shebang, and I'm going to talk about what's working, what's not, and how to fix it. If your own book listing isn't converting, this video might reveal the missing piece. The first listing was sent to me by Eleanor, so let's start with the title. Bible Characters, Word Puzzles, and Coloring Activity Book for Kids 8 to 12 years old. Now right off the bat, I like that you have a couple of high search volume keywords in there. Word Puzzles, which has about 7,000 searches a month, according to Publisher Rocket. Not super competitive either, and you've also got Coloring Activity Book, which again has quite a few searches per month, and it's not showing up as being super competitive. I do think there's a bit of an opportunity to be a little bit more exciting and compelling with the title. Probably what I would do is I would have the subtitle be Word Puzzles and Coloring Activity Book for Kids ages 8 to 12 years old. But for the main title, instead of it just saying Bible Characters, I'd try to go with something a little bit punchier, whether that's something like Bible Brain Games or Bible Heroes, Bible Adventures, Ultimate Bible Fun Book, Bible Quest, something like that that's just a little bit more compelling and exciting to young readers. Moving on to the description, I think generally it's working pretty well. I would probably watch out for a couple of spacing issues. It's not the end of the world, but I would want to have a space above this line. It's feeling kind of cramped in there, like it's missing a space. But I like how you've called out, puzzles for critical thinking, coloring for creativity, educational and engaging. I like that you've got the features here. I might put like a little bit of a hook in here. I might make all of this bold and on its own line and then, bump this over into the next line just so we've got like a nice hook. I think this sounds really good. Dive into the rich tales of the Bible with the Bible Characters book, blah, 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 blah. That looks pretty good. For pricing, $10.99, it's fairly competitive, but I would probably try this out at $9.99. There are some similar options that are less expensive. So I would probably bump it down a little bit just to see if that helps. It's definitely okay to charge more, but customers need to perceive it as worth more for that to work. If you were to start gaining some traction, then I would definitely experiment with bumping that back up to $10.99 or even more. We're gonna come back to the cover in just a second, but let's take a quick peek at the A+ content. Generally, it's good. I would like to see a little bit more contrast. You've got this blue cover and it's sitting on top of a blue background, so it's kind of getting lost there. It's not really popping as much as it could. I think generally speaking, the interior pages look okay. I think a couple of them look, a little bit on the busy side, but it looks like you've got a really nice variety of activities here. You're linking to your other books, which is great. You've got 4 ratings, which is a great start, but I'd really want to get some actual written reviews going here. Now let's head back up to the cover because I think this is your main opportunity for improvement. I think the main issue here for me is that there's a few things. There's not a very good hierarchy here. So when I talk about hierarchy, it is what is your eye landing on first, and then second, and then third. And a really good way to judge if you're getting the hierarchy correct, look at your design through squinted eyes. If there's nothing really popping out at you right away, then you're missing hierarchy, right? So when I look at this design with my eyes squinted, it's all kind of like I can see all of the different design elements, but the main thing that's popping out is actually this for kids 8 to 12 years old, when really we want that title to be popping out. And the title is not contrasting very well with the background because it's black text on top of this sort of like mid blue. So it's not standing out very well. Also, the font is quite small and it's a serif font, which is a little bit tough to read. Now remember, when customers are scrolling, they're going to be seeing this at a very small size. Now, one of my absolute favorite ways to figure out if my cover is working is to see it in context with my competitors' covers.
So I have just popped on over to Canva, very quickly just taken a screenshot. So I went into Amazon and I entered a keyword that someone might use to try and find a book like yours. So I typed in Bible word puzzles for kids. These are the search results that came up. And then what I did is I took a screen grab of your cover and I put it into the search results just so we could see what it looks like in relation to all of your competitors. When you do that, it's easy to see right away what is and is not working, right? So you can see right now at this size, the text on top is really getting lost. You know, I was talking about hierarchy a second ago. You can see that with some of the other books, right? At this size, especially like this top result here, Bible word search for kids. That has employed very good hierarchy. We can see right away Bible word search for kids, even at this small size. And then the design elements in the background. We've got different sized kids, then we've got sort of some background artwork. So it's all kind of working. When you squint, the first thing you see through squinted eyes is you see that title. The second thing you see are the figures. And then thirdly, you see the background. Similarly with the second book, and this one isn't working quite as well, but you can still very clearly see the title, Bible Word Search for Kids. The third one, you've got some really good hierarchy going on here. It looks very modern. Bible Word Search, it's huge. And then even the one at the bottom, which I think, isn't really working as well as some of the others, but you can still see that title really sticking out. And you can see how some of the other covers have used really bright covers, or colors rather. But when I get onto this results page, the very first book my eye goes to is this orange book. And it's not because it has super compelling images or anything like that, but it's because they're using this bold orange color, this green on top, which really stands out. The text is really bold. So again, this is just such a great way to see if your cover is working or not. And when you can contrast your competitors with your cover, you can kind of see like it's a lot more difficult to see yours. So going back to your original listing here are my recommendations. I did make a couple of comments about the title. You're unable to change that now. That's locked in. But I would do 3 things. So first off, I'd have another crack at your cover, make it a little more bold, use some bolder colors, revisit your typography, use that trick that I just showed you where you take a screenshot and just slap it in there with your competitors so you can see how it stacks up against theirs. I would, number 2, reduce the price to $9.99, see if that helps. The third thing, I would get some actual written reviews. You're off to a good start with those 4 ratings, but I would love it if you were to get some written reviews. So I'm going to assume that you go to a church or you have people in your network that might love a copy of this book. Ask them if they'd be willing to write a review for you. You can send them a digital copy of your book for free. Very important when you're asking for reviews that you're not saying, I will give you a free copy of this book in exchange for a review. You can say here, I think you'd find this useful, or, I think you'd really enjoy this book. I'd love to gift you a free copy. And if you like it, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave me a written review. Verified reviews also carry a lot more weight. So if you have anyone in your community that would be willing to purchase a copy of the book and leave a review, that would be even better. So good luck with this one, Eleanor.
Now, if this is making you realize that you may have done something wrong with your own published book, I've got something that might help. It's my free guide, 3 steps to publishing your first low content book in less than a day. That's going to take you through the entire process and maybe shine a little bit of a light on what you might have missed. You can download that down in the description below.
Moving on to the next listing, we have got a 300 plus doodles to coloring book by Jules. So let's start off with the title. It's a little bit on the long side. It looks like you've, stuffed a few keywords in there. So I wish it was a little bit shorter, but you do have some good keywords in there. I won't go through all of them, but cute and easy coloring book, that's a good one with a lot of searches, and it's not super competitive. I think the description is more or less fine. I love that you've got the hook in there, let's get cozy and color. That's working really well. Again, with this listing, same as the last one, I'd probably just watch the spacing a little bit. I'd probably include a space above here and above here. Not the end of the world. I would just, watch out for that. Your price is competitive, nothing to say there. Let's move on down to the A+ content, which I think you've done such a great job of. Really cute, nice bold colors. I love that you've shown lots of the interior pages. I think the illustrations are super cute. You've done a really good job. Nothing here looks like some copy and paste AI hack job. So I really like that. Now let's go up to the cover. I think your cover looks nice and professional. It's super cute. My one comment here, which was kind of similar to the last listing, was that because your title is pink on top of a pink background, it just fades into the background a little bit. So again, I've gone ahead into Canva. I've searched for your main keyword, cute and easy coloring books. This is what comes up in the search results. And then I have plunked your cover in there. There was a different cover in there. I've just plunked this on top just so I can see what it looks like in relationship to your competitors. Now with this example, I'm not seeing really any one particular cover jump out. I think yours stands up really well. Actually, the artwork on it is quite a lot nicer than many of the other competitors here. Again, my only complaint is that I wish the font stood out, the text stood out a little bit more. Now, looking at this particular results page, you might be noticing something. Most of these results are from Coco and if you publish coloring books, you know who that brand is. So I think your listing looks excellent. Your coloring book is excellent. The issue here is that you've just chosen a super, super, super competitive niche, right? Coloring books are competitive, but there are still people making a lot of money with them if they find the right little sub niche. And if they're really able to differentiate. I still see some of my students being able to do that. But the issue here is that you're going head to head with probably the top selling coloring book brand on the entire Amazon platform, right? They have absolutely cornered this, cozy, cute and easy coloring book market. So when I go over to Coco author page, all right, they have got 30 cute and cozy coloring books. 12 of them are current bestsellers, and pretty much all of their books have hundreds, in a lot of cases, thousands of 5-star reviews. So if you are trying to go for that same market using similar keywords that they are using, it's going to be next to impossible to rank and get discovered, especially because I know that these guys are using ads. It'd be one thing if they only had like 1 or 2 books. They've just got so many. So, when you do a search, their books are just taking up the entire first page of results. And it is a shame because I think your book is really gorgeous and I think you've done such a good job of it. But I think if you're going to continue in the coloring book niche, you've really got to find a way to differentiate yourself from this brand because they just have an absolute monopoly on this niche. Now, one thing that's kind of interesting about this brand, when I, scroll all the way down to the bottom, you can really see how their brand evolved. Their earlier books look nothing like their cute and cozy or comfy or whatever it is, right? They've done a lot of experimenting here. If you go back to their earliest books, you can see they used to do a lot of different niches here, and not all of them were successful. I noticed that a few of them did not get very good reviews. A few of them don't have many reviews at all, but it really shows someone who was experimenting in all different types of niches or all different types of themes and genres, and then they hit on something that worked. And then they went all in on that particular niche. So for you, you clearly have a lot of skill here. Like I said, I think your coloring book looks really pro. The illustrations are beautiful. Like, I know my daughter would absolutely love this. My suggestion would just be to experiment a little bit more and find a niche that's not so competitive, or sub niche rather. I do think you can compete in the coloring book market. I just think you have to not go head to head with the one brand that's just dominating the entire space. All right, finally, let's move on to a one-word only word search that was sent to me by Sandy. Now, I had to look up what a one-word word search actually was. So just in case anyone's watching that doesn't know what that is either, it is a word search where you're just looking specifically for one word. So instead of a list of words, it's just one word per puzzle. But all of the letters on that grid are the same letters that are in that one word. I don't know if that I'm describing that particularly well, but it makes it very challenging. So I looked up that keyword. It looks good. So I think that's great. I think the title's working. I think that your description is working really well. I love the hook. I love that you've used bold, everything's spaced out nicely. You've got some bullet points, which makes it really easy to scan. I think the pricing is competitive compared to what everyone else was doing when I just had a quick search to see the competition. Scrolling down to your A+ content, I think that looks really good. I love that you've included a bite-sized horror fact or origin story with each puzzle. That makes it really interesting. You've gone with large print, which is a good differentiator as well. You've linked to some of your other titles. By the way, I just love your brand name, Word Nerds. I think that's awesome. I just love that. I think your cover is working quite well. You've got good hierarchy here, good contrast. When I did my little cover hack here, I think it was working pretty well. It's really annoying how Amazon displays the results. I'm sure you noticed some of them, they have it in list view and some in grid view. I don't know why. Now, you published this fairly recently, just, a matter of, like 3 weeks ago. Now, I like that you've differentiated here, right? It's not just another word search. You've used this horror theme, which is great. But I think because of that horror theme, it feels a little bit more seasonal. So you've really niched down here, which is great, but I'm wondering how many people are searching for horror themed word searches. I think with you just having published this a few weeks ago, as we get into Halloween, which is kind of right around the corner, I would be interested to see if this starts selling. And I'm hoping that on your back end keywords, you've got a few of them that reference Halloween in some way. So honestly, my recommendation here is give it a little bit of time for the Halloween season to kick in, because I feel like maybe there's just not quite enough people, like this is super niche down, looking specifically for horror themed word searches. In fact, when I just do a quick little search on Publisher Rocket, there's about 300 searches per month for horror word search. So if you're using, well, you are using that in the title. And that's horror word search. So it's definitely a smaller number of people, a smaller number of searches per month. So even though the one word only word search is a very highly searched term, I think the pool of people that are looking for horror themed one word only word search is going to be smaller. So I would love it if you reached out to me when it got a little bit closer to Halloween and let me know if this starts selling, because I think this is probably going to be one of those seasonal books. I hope that was helpful.
Now, once your listing has been finely tuned, the next thing to get on is getting as many reviews for your book as possible. And you can find out how to do that without breaking any of Amazon's rules by watching this video next. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.